Let's talk about the psychology of trading. Now, executing your trades and understanding when to take entries, profits is very important. Also, understanding just the bias of where you think the trade's going to go, following your setup. That's very important. But let's talk about the mastering of your emotions and the psychology of trading, because honestly, it's like the dark horse. It's the thing that's going to keep you profitable, and it's going to keep you trading for the long run. So let's go over emotional biases. Let's go over fear, greed, and everything that comes along with trading. And then I want to show you some examples, and even today, of when we could have been greedy or fearful and done some things that were out of character, that maybe didn't follow our plan or didn't best suit us. So I have my charts up here, and I'm going to pull up this. This was what I sent our group earlier in the morning. Now, when we talk about having biases, like, I understand that and let's go to a 1 hour chart. Like, I understand that we're in a downtrend, right? So I understand that we're in a downtrend, but what I like to do and why you see me mark both sides is because I also want to take an unbiased approach. I don't want to just be like, okay, it's going to go short. It's going to go short. It has to go short, because that is when it doesn't go short and you're like, oh shit, what do I do? So I like to mark my high, which was 578, which if we go back to this chart here, this 5-minute chart, and could have actually marked 7. I mean, this doesn't really matter. He could have marked 84, right? But I would just mark the close here of these last highs. And so what happened is it comes up here and it fails. Okay. And if we can look at our picture, let me pull up our picture again. So this is at 7:30 or 9:30, right? What happens here is we get a push down, and our entry was here, this 44 level. So we get in and it goes short about 60 points. We caught 40 of those points. We caught 40 points down to the short side. And this was even in our 50K challenge. So we had one contract, we made $700 because we got 40 points out of it this morning, which was awesome. We took one trade and I was like, sweet, I'm good. And now, because I can now identify my personal trigger and like how it's going to impact my trading, if I kept thinking, well, now it broke 400. Okay, well, it has to go short. It has to come down here. Well, that's not what it did, right? It retraced all the way back up into this key area of support, up into the 600, that 19,600 psychological level. So you can see it comes up here, and then what does it do? It comes back down, breaks through our level, and goes even further. And then 8 o'clock happens. Well, this was actually 8 o'clock when that job, the JOLTS opening on the forex factory, popped up. So you have this crazy volatility. Let's zoom in on this. You have this crazy volatility here, where it goes from 600, and luckily we were not trading this, right? We were already out. It goes from, well, it starts here, right? It goes up almost 100 points, then down close to 250 points, right? Then retraces back up 200, about 200 points. So that was almost a 300 point move, 200 points, and then it starts like trickling down, and then it breaks our level up here, this 44, and then we see more lows, right? Now, my first thought is like, these are in some incredible moves. I would love to get in those. But I already made my money. I made my 40 points. I made the $700 on the one contract. I'm happy with that. Now, I could have forced a trade. I could have traded more. I could have got in on those trades, but I didn't. And the reason I didn't is because I followed my plan, I followed my strategy, I got my points, and I got out. And even though I did miss some of these, I'm totally fine with that, because I'm able to carry out my day stress-free, not buying here, or excuse me, shorting here, and then it goes up, and then trying to buy here, and then it goes down, and then I'm just a mess because it's like so much volatility and so much chop. Like these candles today, these ranges are massive. This is a 5-minute chart, and just like this candle, 300 points to 400. That's a 100-point move. That's incredible. Sure, is it great for trading because you're gonna make 100 points in 5 minutes? That's awesome. But if you're new and you're buying here because you think it's gonna go down, and then you're selling here because you think it's gonna go to the short side, and it just keeps going back and forth, and really, like right now we're at 19,475. We've basically just been trading inside this like crazy big range. It's a big range, but it's a range, right? And like this potentially could be another opportunity to short, like all the way down to the 400 level, right? But we're out. And so one thing that I want to like talk about is understanding like your emotional triggers. When do you have FOMO? And how does it impact you? Like if you see someone make 40 points, like are you okay with that? Are you okay with 10 points? So let's say, like ask yourself, maybe start here, 10 points. Are you okay taking that? If you're like, yes, I am. Okay. Are you okay taking 20 points? Yes. 30 points. And of course people are going to be like, yeah, I want to take 40 points. But if you decide that your strategy like isn't giving you 10 points or isn't giving you 20, or maybe it's not even giving you 40, then you have to kind of look back and say, okay, my strategy has not been giving me 40 points, but it has been giving me 20 and 10 points. Like, am I okay with that? If I do that every single day, then I'm going to, be making close to $300-400, depending on how many contracts you use. And am I okay with that? Am I okay just compounding $300 to $500 a day over a long period of time? Like then that's when you become consistent and you're going to be a profitable trader. So do you have and so this is obviously going to directly correlate with your past experience. And when do you feel like you are missing out, right? Like when do you feel like you should jump into the market? And is it after like there's a big candle and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to get in? Well, after these big candles, sometimes you get these massive retracements. So if you see this big candle, maybe that's not the best time to enter, right? So you want to be aware of your past experiences and how it's been influencing your decisions. And I would have to imagine when someone sees a large candle like this, where you go up 100 points, it's tough to be like, can I wait? Can I wait to see what the market's going to do? Can I wait for a retracement? Because I just missed that. That sucked. I did not want to miss that. And so if you know that you are doing that, take your hands off the computer. Maybe if you need to, walk away. Like it just depends on how bad that emotional trigger is for you. And that's how you're going to manage emotional reactions. Because if you can't react, if your hands aren't there, like my hands are up here and I can't touch the mouse, the keyboard, whatever, I can't react, right? I'm just looking, I'm just watching and waiting and seeing when I have the opportunity. Because if I was going to trade more today, which I'm not because I already got my move, I would have tried to wait and see if it could break that level again, that key level that we showed here, this 44, because I know that it was support. And so what we got was another retracement, pretty much. I mean, yeah, sure, it came down 100 points, so I could have entered there, and then it retraces, and then it's like, okay, well, is it going to break my level again? It did, boom, and we got another move down. So if I just kept taking that, like, hey, I'm going to respect my levels, I'll short when it gets a confirmation close below that, I could have kept making money today, right? But if I try to catch every upside and every downside move, that's what gets you in trouble. So how do you develop that mindset? Well, practice, right? And people will say discipline, like you need to build a disciplined mindset. Well, how do you build discipline? Well, it starts with habits. And so if you're someone who's new, you're probably not going to catch 50-point move. And if you do, it could be luck, right? Unless you are taking a setup like this and you're trailing your stop loss in profit, and then you can start catching some of those big moves. But what I would do is develop habits like, okay, maybe I trade one contract and I want to see if I can get 10 points out of it, right? And you get 10 points, you're like, awesome. And you just keep doing that until it's like, okay, now let's see if we can move it to 20 points. Because then you're building a cushion, you're building in your account. So if you're just stacking $200 wins, then you're going to all of a sudden, in 5 days, you have $1,000, right? You feel pretty good that you made $1,000 in 5 days, and maybe it's not your full-time, trading's not your full-time thing. You have a job, so you're making an extra $1,000 just by trading 10 points in the market, okay? And then maybe you decide, okay, well, I have won, X number of trades in a row. I've done really well. I've been executing my plan. It's not just about the wins. It's maybe you do have a couple losses in there, but it's like, hey, I've been executing my plan, and we've won 3 days in a row. And so now I'm going to go to 2 contracts for 10 points. And if you have a loss, maybe it's like, okay, let's go back to 1. Let's go back to 1 contract, because that's in my trading plan. And that's how I want to trade. So actually, let me copy this. And let's put this up here. So building a disciplined mindset. So 1, do you have a trading plan? And is it based on your setup? Do you have analysis to back it up? And are you practicing, what we talked about, like our self-awareness, and honestly being mindful that the market's giving us a lot. It doesn't have to give you 10 points. It doesn't have to give you 20 points. It doesn't have to give you 40. It could easily go the opposite way. And so I think it's really important to be honestly grateful. Like, you can be mindful, you can be aware, but be grateful that you're able to work and do something for 5, 10, maybe even 15 minutes, and you're able to make $200. Let's just use $200. Like $200, that's insane, right? Most people aren't making $200 an hour at a job. So mindfulness, being grateful, and then being self-aware to say, hey, I made my money, I'm done. I'm going to build that habit so that I have the discipline and the mindset of realizing I have another opportunity tomorrow, and I have another setup that I know I can trust. And so then what are some techniques of managing stress? Well, risk management. I talk about this all the time. I risk $500 on 1 contract. So that's that. So $500, so 1 NQ contract, I risk $500, which is 25 points. Okay. And today, I could have gotten stopped out probably pretty easily, honestly, because of how big the ranges are, right? So if you want to do 2 contracts at 25 points, well, that's $1,000. Do you have $1,000 in your account that you can risk on drawdown? Like, what's the percentage of your capital? For a prop firm, even at a 50K account, there's more than enough room for you to have a $500 stop loss and still be successful. And that's what we've been doing in our 50K challenge. We've been doing 1 contract, 25-point stop loss. We've gotten one of our stop losses hit, and then we've gotten 4 trades that have won for $1,800. So we made $1,800 in 2 days because we had our risk management, so our emotions were in check. We were able to keep our composure. And then I trusted the setup. The day that we lost money, lost the trade, we actually didn't lose money. We had the stop loss hit. All it was me being impatient, and my timing was not right. It retraced from our level and then came right back to our level and then blew through it. And we got in again. So we got in at the short, trusting our setup. Just the timing was bad. And sometimes that happens, but that's how we maintained our composure, because I knew that I was only going to lose $500 if the trade went against me. It wasn't like if I have 1 contract on, I don't know what my loss is going to be. It could be $1,000, it could be $1,500. No, I knew it was $500. And so that's like being able to manage your stress starts with having a plan and understanding the risk and understanding your profit. So this goes to pretty much my next point. And that is, if you want to master your emotions, like you have to have strategies that you can implement every single time. Now it's really easy if you say, I want $500 as my risk, and I enter at, what the market right now is at 19,530. Okay, if I enter right now, where's my stop loss? Okay, it's gonna be at 555 because that's 25 points, right? So we'll say we're shorting, right? If we're shorting, it's gonna be at 555. And the reason I know that is because I can do a simple calculation, right, of just adding 25 points to it, and I put my stop loss above there, right? By utilizing your stop loss order, it just makes it so much easier for you to feel in control. Like that's the thing, is you want to feel in control of your trade, right? You don't want to just put it to chance. And by having a risk management system and using the tool like a stop loss order, it allows you to think more clearly. And by using even just one contract, like if you're using 3 contracts, even at 3 contracts, 500 points or $500 for every 25 points, that means you're losing $1,500, right? Because you're just timesing it by 3. If you don't want to risk that much, then don't use so many contracts. Just start with one. I like to actually play a game with myself. So I'll do one, like if you're starting out, do 1 contract. And say you then execute it 5 times and they're all wins. Well, then move to 2 contracts. Like see the risk, like how your body reacts to, and then how your body reacts to having more contracts. Because if you can't stomach 2 or 3 contracts and you're like on edge, then size down. You don't need to stress yourself out for no reason. But so like if you do 2 contracts and you get 5 wins, okay, now move to 3 contracts, right? And say you take an L. Then move down to 2 contracts or 1 contract, right? So you're essentially playing a game with yourself of proving that, hey, I can trade these contracts. And that way you don't get in trouble with, if you say you lose with 3 contracts. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, I just lost, like F the market. I'm gonna do 5 contracts and I am going to make $2,000 because I just lost $1,500. Like that's a revenge trade, right? That's a revenge trade, and you're not keeping yourself composed and disciplined. If you win, say you win 5 times in a row, like let's just say, let's use 1 contract, okay? And we have a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio, right? So that means we're gonna win $500, or we'll make, I don't know why I keep saying win, right? $500 would be your profit. If you do that 5 times in a row, that's $2,500. And let's say that you make $2,500 in a day, okay? Now, what I would, like, if you're still risking $500. So if you take an L on the day, like I would just stop, right? Because then if you take an L for $500, and then maybe let's say your trading plan says 2 L's and you're done, okay? So then minus $500 again, so now you're at $1,500. I would say, okay, I'm done for the day, right? Like I do not want to give back any of that money, and that needs to be in your trading plan. When are you going to quit? Are you going to quit when you have 1 win and you executed your strategy, which to me, I think that's great. Otherwise, don't risk more than $500. And then if you ever even get close to like 50% of your profit, like get out, right? Like I think trading too much during the day is probably the biggest thing that beginners struggle with. And that does not create a disciplined mindset. It's not good habits. And so if you make the money, get out, because even though that maybe you have a plan, it's like, hey, if I get 2 losses, I'm done. Get out, make the money, because if you get these 2 losses, your FOMO or the revenge that you're gonna feel, the emotion is gonna be like, shit, I gotta make that back. I really wanna make that back. So that's why I like to get in and get out, okay? Even if your plan says 2 L's and you're done, if you make profit, that should be enough. So that's pretty much how I practice like self-control. And so let's talk about self-control and just like your approach to trading and what you can do if you don't have a trading plan, or you feel like you're new and you're struggling with overcoming the emotional biases. Well, one, I mark both sides so I understand what my support and my resistance is. So let's look there. And to me, this has helped me a lot because one, I understand my resistance, and then if it breaks above this, then I know I can go long, even if it's the market's going short, because the market's not going to be short forever, and it's not going to go long forever, right? And so to play both sides, but also understanding what the trend is and when you can get in if you get into a resistance level, and when you can stay short, or if it's at a support level and then you can go long. I like to have an understanding of the framework of the market, but then also like in my entries, like, hey, I don't make the market. I can't make it go short. Then I have a game plan. If it goes long, this is what I'm going to do. Okay. And then you make money, just be done. Right. The more you trade, the more likely you are going to lose. Right. I think that's why people tie gambling with trading so much, because the more you gamble, the more likely you're going to lose. Right. Pros who do it, they understand when I'm up, I'm walking away. The same thing goes to trading. Walk away when you have executed your strategy, your process has worked for you, and you've made profit, right? Even if you haven't made profit, if you've executed your strategy and sometimes it just doesn't work, right? It just doesn't play out the way you wanted to. And that's when you want to have, like, hey, if I get 2 L's on the day, okay, I'm done. 2 L's at $500, it's $1,000, that's fine. I'll have another opportunity tomorrow to execute my setup. And so I think what I would do, as far as like a conclusion, is to embrace good habits and discipline. It's writing them down, right? Writing them down. If you are using a prop firm, lock your prop firm accounts. If you have just a regular live account, it's like close the platform. Don't have it on your mobile device. Don't have it on your mobile device because we carry this stinking thing around with us all the time, and it's so easy just to check in and log in and then be like, oh wow, what's the market doing? Let me make a trade. That's not what you want to do, right? So that is not being disciplined. And when you start creating these small habits, like the discipline will be there, and you'll feel way more confident, and your mood will be way better, and you're not going to be stressed. That's the thing, is like trading can be stressful, like for sure. It's the easiest thing to do, but it's also the hardest because of this, right? So just craft an intelligent approach, like fine tune your setup. Okay, I know when I'm going to enter, I know when I'm going to exit. And if the setup works, great, be happy with it, don't be greedy. And if the setup for some reason just doesn't work that day, then it's like you don't need to change your setup. It's just the market decided to do what it was going to do, and it thought that everybody was going to do the same thing, and so it decided to do something different, right? Chasing setups and different strategies is obviously, it's like the shiny new toy. It's not going to get you anywhere. You got to fine tune that strategy, and then just be disciplined and create the habit of, like, if you get your wins, like, just be happy, be grateful, because there's nowhere in the world that you can make profits like this in this short amount of time. It's all about working smarter, not harder, with trading. Because working harder means you placing more trades, which equals more losses. You trading smarter is taking one trade a day and calling it quits and saying, sick, I made that extra $500 to $1,000, and I'm happy with that. Okay? So give a like and subscribe to this. And this is Mastering the Psychology of Trading, Mastering Your Emotions. And we'll do maybe in the next video, what we'll do is like actually creating maybe an emotional trading plan. Okay, stay tuned.